Hui Aloha mai, he velina noho ike ia me ke aloha ia oko pakahia pau. Aloha, greetings. Good morning, kakahiaka no ya kako apau for whomever is attending today. We thank you so much. And this is yet another one of our Aloha Friday Lives. So welcome. Indeed, we welcome all of you. Today we're excited yet again for another one of our sharing. We're actually, you probably see already, Analu and Leighton are live at Waiaka'eu. We'll learn all about Waiaka'eu today and what it is, its function, its purpose and intention for us, Hui Aloha Kīholo, and the broader, for sure. And we're also going to learn a mele. One of the focus today is looking at mea kanu Hawaii, mea kanu oiwi no ho'i, some of our native coastal plants that we actually are privileged and honored to have at Waiaka'eu. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but there's a mele. I had just put together something I hope catchy and simple enough for all of us to learn some of the plants that the mea kanu, whether it's ground cover or kumu la'au trees that exist in Waiaka'eu. We also are joined with what you folks probably ma'atu with our ʻāina lehua, and she's actually gonna close out this session with a live. So she usually is up front, and we usually begin with the kilo, but we're going to save that for our closing, and so we look forward to our va kilo with cousin Lehua there at Kīholo. But with that, again, we mahalo you all. We welcome you folks to this Aloha Friday Live, the last one in May, as we push right into June, right around the turn here. After the weekend, we'll be into a mahina hou, a new month. So we're actually going to take you folks live to Kīholo. It looks like a nice, pretty much summer kind of a sky. We're coming right into this season of Kauwela, this season of much sunshine and warmth, and nevertheless, everyone, Analu and Leighton, two of our ʻāina that we are so humbled and happy to have as a part of our team. These two with Lehua work very hard day in and day out. If any of you listening in or joining the webinar have ever camped at Kīholo, oh, there's cousin. One of these three probably have checked you in at camping. These are the three faces that are very present at Kīholo. One of Hui Aloha Kīholo's main objectives is to have presence at Kīholo with these ʻāina. So it's Leighton, Analu, Lehua, our lovely, wonderful, amazing, work so hard ʻāina of Hui Aloha Kīholo. So Leighton, Lehua, Analu, you folks can take it live at Waiaka'eu. Mahalo.
Oh, hi. Aloha kako. We're coming to you live from Waiaka'eu. This is Channel K Kīholo News.
Like as the ulei said, it is definitely Kauwela.
Kauwela right now, very hot.
I feel a little drip that's coming down. We're not very there, but it's definitely hot.
It's sweaty, but yeah, we're just thank you to our Hui Aloha Kīholo extended ohana for just spending your morning with us, and we're excited to share about Waiaka'eu, Hui Aloha Kīholo's native planting enclosure. I was just gonna talk what came up in my mind, but I had to jot some things down, so I didn't go all over the place because if you know me when I talk, I kind of get scattered brain a little bit. But so I had to jot down these things. I was asked to talk about the naming of Waiaka'eu, which I was asked by Auntie Kule and Auntie Jenny a few years ago to name this area. And that is my sharing this morning. So I wrote some things down on my phone, and I will go ahead and share that with you guys right now. Aloha mai kako hui aloha kīholo ohana. Thank you for tuning in and sharing your morning with us. We are coming to you live from Waiaka'eu, also known as the Hui Aloha Kīholo planting enclosure. I was given a great task a few years ago by Ku'ule and Auntie Jenny to haku ino, create a name for our planting enclosure. We all felt the same, that the word enclosure or enclosed was not the right word, feeling, or vision of this special place. Kīholo is an ʻāina of aloha, a welcoming place, a komo mai, come inside and join, an invitation to join in with one another and the ʻāina. I still feel so honored in this request. And I search my thoughts and feelings of what this place brought forth to me. This is what surfaced from my search. Kīholo instills passion. It provides energy to us. It surrounds us with life, activity, from keiki sailing canoe in the bay, the schools of fish on the reef, gatherings of friends and family to Malama ʻāina, the makaloa and the opai ula. We can't forget the billy goat. Kīholo is alive, and not only that, Kīholo inspires life. For me, my life is my family. I thought about a family name that my dad gave to my nephew, Ka'eu I Kamalie, the activity in the calm. My sister was very calm while she was carrying baby, but baby was very active inside of her. He still is very active today. I love this name. I love my family. And the word eu encompassed that feeling I have for this special ʻāina. I then looked to the past names that already existed here at Kīholo. Luahine Vai, the waters of the old woman. Vaya LAP, the fresh waters of the LAP crab. Vainanali'i, the waters guarded by the chiefs. The word Vai, this fresh water source, the springs that feed Kīholo, springs that fill us. Waiaka'eu, the living waters, the invigorating waters. This is the feeling. This is the name. I spoke to Kule and Auntie Ginny about the name, and they agreed. This is the feeling. And I hope this is the feeling this ʻāina brings to you all as well. Waiaka'eu, the invigorating waters. E Ola, Waiaka'eu. Mahalo.
Awesome. I'm glad that you talked about a little bit about feeling and stuff like that, because for me, Waiaka'eu really is about feeling it, because you have to be inside of here and feeling its vibes, its essence, because from the outside, it might look like an enclosure, you know, and it has like a barbed wire fence with fence lines inside. But once you start coming in and working with like the I and the hala and stuff like that, you really get to see the life within Waiaka'eu and how much really more to life there is underneath everything, like all the sticks and stuff like that. You see the potato bugs just moving around, all these little like flickering, fleeting. Sorry guys, I don't know bugs too well, but I know the potato bug from when I was a kid. So not scientific, but anyways, I see those guys a lot down here, and I know that those things are kind of good, and it's a reflection of life and energy. So when they kind of have the name of like invigorating waters, I really thought like, you know, Waiaka'eu, every part that I see within this enclosure that these waters are touching or even kind of flow out to, you can really see the life really start to come out from there and stuff like that. So in the beginning for me, it was really hard to really come into here and start working, because I wasn't sure of exactly what the bigger picture of what Waiaka'eu was supposed to be or what we wanted it to be. And I'm not sure if we still know what that is yet, but from working in it and starting to peel back layers, taking out like some of the invasive weeds, letting the natives kind of like flourish and grow, do their thing, it's been an awesome journey. And so like when we're trying to figure it out, is it a native plant enclosure? Yes, we do want to have native plants, but we also want to, you know, like live up to its name, Waiaka'eu, the invigorating waters. And if you look in like invigorating, it talks about being full of health, full of energy, And another way we were thinking that, you know, brings energy, brings health is by providing food. So maybe in our next direction, we're thinking about maybe planting some edible foods, like I don't know exactly what yet, but and some medicinal stuff like that. But the direction is being guided by Waiaka'eu in a sense, by not really forcing what we really want to be inside there, but kind of them or her showing us what she wants to be in here and stuff like that. Because what I thought was really cool is we're talking about having like food sources and stuff like that here in Waiaka'eu, and then like the day after I walked out to like the lagoon side and I found like a patch of papayas just growing in like this random location you would never expect papayas to grow. And I'm like, you know, maybe it is supposed to have some kind of food or medicinal properties in here and stuff like that. So with that being said, we're just in the process of clearing things out and, you know, kind of getting a fresh slate to start back up on. So we really look forward to the community to come back and really put some time into Waiaka'eu, come inside here, feel the feelings, feel the vibes, and just really feel what Waiaka'eu is, you know, because if you're just looking from the outside, like I said, it might just be an enclosure, but once you step into those gates, you really feel Waiaka'eu in its sense. And with that, I think we're going to hand it over to Auntie Ulei. Thank you guys for joining us here at Waiaka'eu. And oh wait, we get something from the directors. Hold on.
A prompt come through. Oh yeah, we we got him. Oh, perfect. Sorry, we coming back to Ulei live. Aloha, you guys.
Aloha no, aloha nui ya olua. Thank you guys so much. Leighton, whew, that was a beautiful sharing. Thank you for those expressions of your inner thoughts, your inner feelings that you then put to voice and let us hear what was your process in finding or searching or listening maybe for the name. What would be a fitting name for that space? And so you're defining it, you're sharing with us your thoughts, your feelings, the strong connection to ohana and to that word, eu, Analu, to you, and for, you know, the thoughts that you put forward of our dreaming of Waiaka'eu and all that it can be in the food production or medicinal, perhaps la'au element of it. I think there's great potential, right? So we lift up the potential of all that Waiaka'eu is and will be, and all of those beautiful, wonderful things. So for those of you looking at Analu, and I don't know, we're having some little bit difficulties. You guys are kind of coming in and out, but we can kind of see you folks. I just wanted to point out the backdrop, right? Leighton and Analu are actually sitting between two hala trees that were planted. We actually only had one planting. Oh, you guys are good. But mahalo. Those hala trees were planted, one and only. The one time we had planted, you'll see in the background a lolu tree. That was also part of the planting, and I would like to, I'm not sure if he's on or not, but a mahalo to Mike Donahoe. At that time, Mike was very instrumental with Hui Aloha Kīholo, the entire ahupua'a of Pu'uwa'awa'a. He was very instrumental in getting our approval to create this enclosure. What we really wanted to do was to remove the constant pressure, grazing pressure of the feral goats there. And then we kind of waited to see what would happen, right? It was this belief, like I think Leighton may have made mention to that, right? This the native seeds were there. They were waiting for space to be open and the time was right. And so most of what you see were not planted. They were already there. It was already naturally occurring. So only the lolu and the hala were planted at Waiaka'eu. We look forward to more plantings, but you see that mat of makaloa. I'm not sure if you can pick it up, but there's pohuehue, there's ahuava, and of course our kumu. Those are extremely special coconut trees, that kumu that's there in the background. But this is a nice snapshot of the natives that are in Waiaka'eu. Of course, you see the kiawe in the back, which we acknowledge and we love. Kiawe is so good for our imu and many things. Although not a native, it is something that we certainly have, you know, adjusted, adapted to, have brought into our lifestyles, if you will. So kiawe, everything else pretty much that you are looking at is native. Oiwi, Meakanu Oiwi, native, at least either indigenous or endemic to Hawaii. So with that, I do again express my mahalo to Leighton and Analu and Lehua, of course. But we're gonna get right into, I'm gonna break down this mele. I am going, you guys are so awesome. Really, I cannot say that enough. Or we, Hui Aloha Kīholo, cannot impress upon those of you who are joining us today the significance and importance of our ʻઆina. They are the root, the mole, the backbone. You know, in many ways, we all have our parts and functions within Hui, but the ʻāina, I elevate them and I acknowledge them as probably one of the more essential, undeniably important facets to Hui Aloha Kīholo for their hana nui, their big, big workings. We will continue and continue and continue. No, there isn't enough mahalo for our ʻāina and all that is expressed in that word of mahalo. So here it is. We're going to kind of bring you folks a little closer into the various plants that are there at Waiaka'eu. And this is actually going to unfold to be the mele, that at the end, we're going to teach you a lovely, I hope lovely, it's a catchy tune. I had to think back to a song that we had taught our children at Punanaleo o Waimea, and I had taken the tune from that same tune. So E Ola, E Waiaka'eu, the name of this mele and this time that we're going to really kind of get a little bit more in-depth sharing about the different plants, coastal plants and our trees of Waiaka'eu. The first one that we wanted to acknowledge was, of course, the kumu niu, these coconut trees. You did see in the background, Nahaku will bring up the next slide, or probably she already has. There it is. These coconut trees, this little cluster of trees that was already existing in Waiaka'eu before the fence went in. And I also want to acknowledge my own father, Sonny Keakealani. It was he, myself, and Mike Donahoe who were walking that day, kind of looking for a location. Where would we be able to perhaps, where would make sense? And again, to elevate and honor my father's knowledge, he's saying, look to the land. The land has the answers, right? The ʻāina is right there. The pane is right there. Look, right here, get water, standing water, rise and fall with the tides. Right here is where you folks protect this area right here. And so that's how the location of Waiaka'eu was actually chosen. These coconut trees were already there, right? All of the plant life that was there, again, indicative, and it told us, it literally told us, this is the place that you protect. So these kumu niu, and we have a picture, a beautiful picture of apuava. This is kind of, when you look at the coconut tree, is perhaps one of the most useful plants in Hawaii, ʻāina Hawaii nei. Just about every part of this meakan, this la'au, kumu la'au, can be utilized. And here we see an apuava cup, if you will, or a bowl that's going to be utilized for, yes, the drinking of many things, perhaps, but ava in particular. An apuava created from the niu, the coconut of these trees. So to these kumu niu, to the apuava. So again, these are the words of your mele, and we'll get to that. But first, we're going to hone in focusing on the trees. So to our next slide, we're going to bring you folks a picture up close. All of these pictures are from Waiaka'eu. Photo credit absolutely to Analu, Hanano. He took all of these pictures of the plants at Waiaka'eu. So here's one of Analu's photos of the makaloa growing there at Waiaka'eu, and up close you see this sedge. It loves this kind. This is it's in its element in these waikai, brackish water pools and systems. Traditionally, you're gonna see, as Nahaku has brought up a lovely photo of a mat woven. Makaloa was utilized as a material to weave with. Bishop Museum has beautiful renderings of some mahiole, different things that were woven utilizing the makaloa. So here is the makaloa and moena, ea ea. It's going to be your second verse in your mele. Next, we're going to look at the Kumu Hala. From the Kumu Hala, we utilize the lau of this tree, lau hala, and many, many things, mats, fans, hats, you name, right, thatching for your hale. There's just so many uses of the lau hala. But here is this tree, one of the planting, one and only planting that we did do early on in Waiaka'eu. And we brought these in, and they were, I don't even know if they were maybe 3 feet at the most, maybe 2 feet. They were little hala. And just once we got them in, here we are several years later, and they are happy. And we're hoping, we're not confirmed yet, but we're hoping that one of our Aloha Friday Lives will be focused in on teaching the weaving of lau hala. Nevertheless, here is our Kumu Hala at Waiaka'eu, and acknowledging the lau hala that we utilize to weave many useful products for our lives today. The next plant, which is actually a ground cover, it is a succulent. It is the ai. And something of interest, you're going to see it right there, ai akulikuli. Although many of us know the akulikuli to be different than what we're looking at these pictures, the akulikuli has a more reddish, pinkish kind of stem. I will encourage you to get to your Hawaiian language dictionaries, your puke vehe vehe, and get it out and try and look at ai. It's gonna say it's akulikuli, and then you go cross-reference. Try go see akulikuli. It's gonna say it's ai. I think for me, it's about the acknowledgement of it being in the same family. It's in a succulent family, maybe as was described to me by an uncle and an auntie who are, I deem they were students of a great kahuna la'au lapa'au, but they impress upon me the notion of family, ohana, genealogies, and that akulikuli and ai are of the same family. They hold the same genealogy. So akulikuli may be the larger family name, if you will, as again, their knowledge shared to me. Akulikuli, the larger or broader family name. Ai, a more specific name of within that family group. So I wanted to offer that out for those of us and just kind of expand our minds in that way, right? And know that ai, akulikuli, ai, these lovely ground covers, again, like the makaloa, they are at home. This is their zone, their areas to grow in these alkaline pools, the vai opai, the loko vai kai, brackish water systems that we have just meandering, speckled throughout our North Kona and other places, but our beloved North Kona landscape. The next tree that we feature again is one of our plantings, accompanied with the hala. They all went in at the same time. These you're gonna see, I'm gonna encourage you to just kind of remember this at the last slide that you're gonna see. you will see this very lolu that we're looking at in this picture from Analu. You're gonna see it in a bucket or in a planter. That's how it was brought to Kīholo. I would like to acknowledge the Hardy family, Mr. and Mrs. Hardy of Kailua Kona. And Mrs. Hardy collected actual seeds, which is what we're looking at on this other picture, Mahalo Jupiter, of the Havane, the seed of the Lolu. She takes a few and grows them. And then she said when she was she was like a Hanai mama. She said, I adopted them, I raised them, and now they're ready to return home. So it was a beautiful, very beautiful day where she had brought a few of these, the Lolu that she had raised from when they were a little seed, a Havane, and we planted them that day. Again, magnificent. They are happy to perhaps be home. They have returned home to Kīholo. Something else that I want to make note of is that a cousin of my grandfather, who we know as Tutujo Maka'ai, in his oral histories, he's going to talk about eating the Havane. And that for them at home in Kaupulehu, it was like candy. They were, when they could eat Havane, and he talks about its meat tasting very similar to coconut, but it was the closest thing perhaps that they had to candy, something that was candy-like. But it was the edible Havane seeds of the Lolu. So with that, we're going to move to yet another ground cover that you may see at the base of the Lolu, kind of there in there. Look at this beautiful field, if you will, of Pohuehue. And I want to, again, in most of our sharings, we're just elevating Ike Kupuna, right? The knowledge of our ancestors, our Kupuna, our elders, place-based knowledge. So being with my dad once, and we're talking about this Pohuehue, we were actually there at Kīholo, and he says, so I'm saying, oh, yep, Dad, you know, Pohuehue, yeah, and whatnot, trying to just stir some conversation about it. And he says, oh, Koali. I said, okay, yep, Koali, Polole. So again, referring back to the Akulikuli and the Ai family name, right? Dad knows this as Koali. Koali is the perhaps more general name. I by no means am any expert in plants or anything like that. Just again can bring forward what my ears have heard and the learning that I have received. So Dad says, oh, Koali, yeah, Koali. Koali is good medicine. Your grandfather make medicine with koali. I said, with the pohuehue. He says, yeah, the koali. He make medicine with that. Medicine for the dogs, medicine even for kanaka, for people too. But if the dog gets sprained, broke bone, so he's just right offering this information of things that he's seen in his life. So for him, the pohuehue, koali, which is why I had in the mele, I wanted to put in hanala'au, because that's a direct quote, if you will, from my father, where he's saying to me, your grandfather hanala'au with the koali. He make medicine with the koali. So that's what hanala'au is to make medicine. Going right back to touching back to what Analu said, right? Looking at food sources, medicinal properties of the plants that Waiaka'eu is housing is of utmost importance to us. So pohuehue, known by kupuna as koali, and the hanala'au element of it, that it is utilized for other things. Cousin Lehua, one of our ʻઆina, shares about it being utilized in catching fish, in catching fish. So many usages for the pohuehue, like everything else that we have perhaps shared. One of the last, if not the last, sedge, if you will, that we're going to share that is right there at home in Waiaka'eu is the ahuava. This ahuava is traditionally, I want to try that myself to make the sedge. It was used as a hoka'ava, which is the strainer, a strainer that was utilized to strain ava. And so the stems, it says, were kind of pounded and broken down into just fibers, and then it would be soaked to remove like all of the vale, you know, the sappy essence of it. and then it would be kind of plated, braided in a way, and utilized in the apu or the cups as strainers for ava. And it also talks about it being, you know, the ability to use again and use again and use again, more than one time use. Nice concept, huh? Ahuava is well in Waiaka'eu. So hoka ava is the strainer, the ava strainer of that this plant was utilized. And then the last final lines of this mele is calling out and just saying ola, that there be life to for Waiaka'eu. And this is part of the life when many hands come together, when people of the community lend, you see, to me it's that they're bending their back, they are carrying their hali, all with love and light and aloha that they bring to Waiaka'eu. And that's the life to us, life to Waiaka'eu. We know this saying, I ola mako, I ola oi, I ola mako nei, life to you, life to me. We all, it's about this reciprocal relationship, that we're all interrelated. We are relations one to the other. We are connected. We are in many ways kind of dependent on one another, and not dependent like that kind of kalele or leaning into, or but rather that we support each other's lives, that there is that kalele on one another, the support of our lives, to the land, to even Analu mentioned the little bugs, the insects. All of us have a part and a role and a function in life. And so I close this mele with ola no o Waiaka'eu. And then if you can, Nahaku, if you could just go to that last slide, and then we're going to actually go right back up. There's the lolu that Mr. and Mrs. Hardy had brought back to Kīholo, returned after caring for them and raising these lolu for some years, and then said, oh, time to go home, time to go take you folks back. I was your, you know, adopted Hanai mama for some time, but you got to go home now. So this was the actual day that they came home to Kīholo, and we planted them in Waiaka'eu. This is how we're going, your ending, how we could close the mele is I ola no o Waiaka'eu. And I thought that was a nice way to push back to these lolu arriving at Kīholo, and you saw the photo of how they are today. So ola no, that there is life indeed to Waiaka'eu. So if Nahaku will take us back to that first slide with the kumu, I'm gonna give you the air. I'm gonna just sing mele, the song right through, so you can hear the tune, the air of this mele. And I hope I haven't made too much confusing hand motions. I think you can do it. We can do it. We did this with our Punanaleo kids. Punanaleo o Waimea, our 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. It was a song that was about the different parts of the hala tree. And so that's the tune that I had borrowed, if you will, and put into this mele. So we're going to just hold perhaps on this picture. Or I'm not sure, Nahaku, if you're so compelled to go through, that might be good. But we're going to go through the mele. I'm going to sing it through each verse, or each line, really, each line we'll sing 2 times. And then I'll introduce the motions after you folks can hear what the mele sounds like. So here it is. Kumu niu apu ava ea ea. Kumu niu apu ava ea ea. Makaloa moena ea ea. Makaloa moena ea ea. Kumu hala lau hala ea ea. Kumu hala lau hala ea ea. ai a kuli, ea. Ai a kuli, ea. Kumu lolu havane, ea. Kumu lolu havane, ea. Pohue hue hanala au, ea. Pohue hue hanala au, ea. Ahu ava hoka ava, ea. Ahu ava hoka ava, ea. Ola no Waiaka'eu, ea. Ola no Waiaka'eu, ea. Ea. Ai. Ola no Waiaka'eu. Yay! I hope yay. Anyway, that's the gist, the soundings of the mele. Now we're actually we can go back up and I'm going to do for you the hand motions. I'm going to stand, but please know that all I'm actually doing is one pa'i to my uhas, to your lap. So it's just one pa'i. Let me do it. Let me do the first verse. Kumu niu apu ava, ea. Kumu niu apu ava, ea. So it's a clap on your lap, clap 2 times, snap. Kumu niu apu ava, ea. Kumu niu apu ava, ea. Okay? Woo! I know, you can do it. So we try the next line is the makaloa. Your motion is makaloa because it grows really nice and it's a thin sedge, grows nice and straight. So but you see it kind of leaning too, but still it's straight. Makaloa moena, ea. Makaloa moena. Let me get here. Okay. Ea. Okay. Makaloa moena. Ea. Your first one is kumuniu. Kumuniu apu ava. Ea. Makaloa moena. Ea. Okay. So kumuniu, and you make your apu ava. Then you make your makaloa and lay down your moena. Next is your kumu hala. So the motions for all the trees, kumuniu, same with kumu hala. You're making this tree. So kumu hala, stretch out your hand, lau hala. Kumu hala, lau hala. Ea. One more time. Kumu hala, lau hala. Ea. From the top. Kumu niu apu ava. Ea. One more time. Kumu niu apu ava. Ea. Makaloa. Makaloa moena. Ea. Makaloa. Makaloa moena. Ea. Kumu hala. Kumu hala, lau hala. Ea. Kumu hala. Kumu hala, lau hala. Ea. Now we're on to our ground cover, the ai and the akuli. So they're succulents, right? And they like to creep and crawl and spread. So we're going ai, kuli, right? So just push out in front of you, down and spread open, and back up to you, push out and spread open. Ai, ai, a, kuli, kuli, ea, ea. Ai, ai, a, kuli, kuli, ea, ea. Okay, from the top. Kumu niu apu a, ea, ea, kumu niu. Kumu niu apu ava, ea, ea, makaloa. Makaloa moena, ea, ea. Makaloa moena, ea, ea, kumu hala. Kumu hala, lau hala, ea, ea. Kumu hala, lau hala, ea, ea, ai, 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 a, kuli, kuli, ea, ea. Ai, ai, a, kuli, kuli, ea, ea. Our next one is the kumu laulu. Same motion, kumu laulu. And what you're gonna do is like reach up, like you're picking, you're gonna like pick or pluck, like, so it's like you're gonna be grabbing havane to eat. Like we said in the oral histories of Papa Joe, Maka'ai, he talks about eating the havane, very tasty. He loved the laulu because it tasted like new. So we're gonna reach up and pluck. Your motion is the kumu laulu, reach up, pluck, to bring to your mouth. So kumu laulu havane, ea, ea. Kumu laulu havane, ea, ea. Okay, from the top. Kumu niu apu ava, ea, ea. Kumu niu apu ava, ea, ea. Makaloa, makaloa moena, ea, ea. Makaloa moena, ea, ea. Kumu hala, lau hala, ea, ea. Kumu hala, lau hala, ea, ea, ai, 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 a, kuli, kuli, ea, ea. Ai, a, kuli, kuli, ea, ea. Kumu laulu havane, ea, ea. Kumu laulu havane, ea, ea. We're on to pohuehue. Pohuehue, that beautiful purple flower that kind of juts up from the vine. Pohuehue, hanala au, ea, ea. Okay, so we're doing this motion like a kawili, right? Because that's what Dad said, that Grandpa would mash the kowali, the pohuehue, with Hawaiian salt, and this was his medicine, the la'au, but that he kawili or he hana la'au. So our motion, pohuehue, hana la'au, ea, ea. Pohuehue, hana la'au, ea, ea. Okay, pohuehue, we see that purple flower. So that's what we're making, like the vine and boom, that beautiful purple flower. And then it's just out, your palm is out, and with a closed kind of hand, your kawili, you're making that medicine, making the la'au. Okay, pohuehue, hana la'au, ea, ea. Pohuehue, hana la'au, ea, ea. Okay, we almost pow, guys. Oh, okay, try from the top. Remember our kumu niu, that's our first tree. We're going tree, kind of ground cover, tree, ground cover, tree, ground cover. That's kind of your sequence. So now we're on to the ahuava. So we're kind of like the makaloa, but look at that seed head. And the way that in my mind I kind of saw it, it's kind of like a poof, a burst, kind of that burst of seeds and whatnot. So it's ahuava, hoka ava. So we're just bringing our fingers together, kind of like how we would make the fibers come together, and it would be an apu, a strainer. Okay, ahuava for the seed pod, Ahuava. Bring your hands together, your fingers, and turn them. Hokaava, right? The strainer for ava. Ahuava, hokaava, ea, ea. Ahuava, hokaava, ea, ea. From the top. Kumu niu apuava, ea, ea. Kumu niu apuava, ea, ea. Makaloa. Makaloa moena, ea, ea. Makaloa moena, ea, ea. Kumu hala, kumu hala, lau hala, ea, ea. Kumu hala, lau hala, ea, ea. Ai, a kuli, kuli, ea, ea. Ai, a kuli, kuli, ea, ea. Kumu lolu hawane, ea, ea. Kumu lolu hawane, ea, ea. Pohue hue hanala au, ea, ea. Pohue hue hanala au, ea, ea. Ahuava hoka ava, ea, ea. Ahuava hoka ava, ea, ea. Your last motions, last line is just a hand forward and lifting up. Ola no Waiaka'eu, ea, ea. Ola no Waiaka'eu, ea, ea. Okay, so just 1, 2, 3, 4. Lifting up, elevating all of our good thoughts of life to Waiaka'eu. Ola no Waiaka'eu, ea, ea. Ola no Waiaka'eu, ea, ea. Ea, ea. Ea, ea. Ai, ola no Waiaka'eu. Okay. Whoa, how was that? I hope that wasn't too much. There's your closing. Ai, ola no Waiaka'eu. When I was composing this, I had my third daughter, Ka'io, with me, and she actually did this closing. I was going, oh, okay, what do we do? Should we do a he inoa no or not, or what? And she said, no, mama, just do I, ola no o Waiaka'eu. So this closing line is full credit to Miss Ka'io, who gave us this closing line. Okay, we're gonna try one time right through, and yeah, maybe I'll try and sit on the chair. I'm not sure if you can. Oh, yay, look, there's our family. I don't know, maybe I gotta stand. Okay, so one time through, Nahaku is gonna guide. Oh, look at our beautiful loco there. Nahaku, if you can, please. And again, my mahalo every time to Nahaku for all of this back of the house kinds of important support. Could not do it without all of that kind of technical support. So those of you who know me know that I'm scared of technology and oh my gosh, this is, or it scares me. But I'm learning and learning. So thank you, Nahaku. But so each line 2 times, and then we're gonna go. Nahaku will help us follow the mele because she's gonna switch to the next one, and it's right. So from kumuniu, makaloa to the hala, so on and so forth. So here we go. Ola no o Waiaka'eu. Kumuniu apuava, ea, ea. Kumuniu apuava, ea, ea. Makaloa, makaloa moena, ea, ea. Makaloa moena, ea, ea. Kumu hala, Kumu Hala lau hala ea ea. Kumu Hala lau hala ea ea. Ai a kuli kuli ea ea. Ai a kuli kuli ea ea. Kumu lolu havane ea ea. Kumu lolu havane ea ea. Pohue hue hanala au ea ea. Pohue hue hanala au ea ea. Ahuava hoka ava ea ea. Ahuava hoka ava ea ea. Ola no Waiaka'eu ea ea. Ola no Waiaka'eu ea ea. Ea ea. Ea ea. Ai. Ola no Waiaka'eu. Yay! Mai ka'iloa. Well, thanks for hanging in there and going through it. But I hope the tune is catchy and ea ea. But this is recorded, so if you need to, you can go back. But I think, you know, once you kind of get the clap down, one bum 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 bum. Clap on your lap, 2 times clap, and snap, snap. A little catchy, I hope. Kumuni you apu ava ea ea. Okay, on and on. So please utilize this mele. I am happy to offer that out. At least it kind of helps us learn a plant and perhaps one of its usages or its functions, like an apuava or havane. How many of you knew that the seed of the lolu was called havane and edible? I just hope that perhaps some of this was new knowledge, and please receive it with utmost aloha as I put this out with nothing less than much aloha for Waiaka'eu, for those lovely plants. And all of it, we're actually kind of winding down. We're going to close out this Aloha Friday Live with another live pond side. The cousins, our ohana, the ʻઆina, have all moved pond side at the shoreline of Kaloko'o Kīholo in what is the Nature Conservancy, the nursery. And so I'll hand it over to Lehua, but please know that, and maybe cousin Lehua, you can maybe explain why we're closing off with this and kind of in the sequence of what happens at Waiaka'eu and then what then ends up happening there at the nursery and what we're actually looking at right now. So there you go, Analu, Leighton, Lehua, we're on with you folks. Mahalo.
O Kīholo, ʻāina aloha lana e ka mana o nā mea kaulana. Pākahikahi ana pākai, pālua kahi ana lua waikai. Pākolu loko I a wai nanali, pāha kahi a lua hine wai. Hui Ola o Kīholo, Kīholo kupayana hae. He mele no Kīholo, ʻāina aloha. Mahalo kule. Mahalo everybody for joining. That was crazy good and awesome, and we carry on. Aloha mai kako. Here we are. Here's our gang. We are here at, first of all, mahalo to the Nature Conservancy, our extended ohana. Through partnership, we establish relationship. As with relationship from Waiaka'eu to Kīholo. Rebecca Most had a vision to establish a nursery, and this she did, along with Ohana of the Nature Conservancy, groups from all over, and with the community. We are here at the nursery at Kīholo. So from the living waters of Waiaka'eu, they nurse our planting, our la'au, bringing life to them, and then to us here at the local. So here we are. Let me turn my camera. We are at the nursery. But before I get into this more, we're gonna take a look of this ʻāina that is right here along the shoreline. Its abundance has grown and it's continuing to grow. You can see the white flowers on it if you can. These are good ground coverings, and right in this area at high tide, it's usually underwater. So we know that the ʻāinas can also be grown in the water. And like the akuli, they both are ground covers. And they are very good for invertebrates, especially for our ʻōpae hulas. So with this, we look forward to ʻōpae hulas one day. And likewise, with the akuli, they're also for invertebrates. And what's different with the akuli is that it has a salty taste to it, which was used also for cooking. I believe the whole plant was able to be eaten. It was used in the imu for flavor, as also a moisture plant. So this is our ʻāina, along with our akuli. And now we're gonna just take a walk over. Okay, we're gonna go a little slower. So we have the seedlings that come from Waiaka'eu here into the pots. And in this nursery, they are watered, cared for, and prepared, as we've seen that it was planted on the shoreline, which there are more that's along the local. We also have here ili'e'e, which is growing, which the roots can be used as black dye. We have a'ali'i, nanea. These three plants did not come from Waiaka'eu, but they are here to be grown. Here we have the new, this one is from Waiaka'eu in this orange bucket. This one is from Waiaka'eu in the orange bucket, in the blue bucket. And the others come from around the local, which we are gathering from each tree. It's different types. Another Waiaka'eu. You can see how big that coconut is. We're coming over here to our Milo. And we also have a little coal that's coming. And we also have a red hala. This is from the Hind's property. I know that this was one of the most important ones back in the early days of our ancestors. And also with Andrew being here, he's a Hanano, and a little story of the Hanano fruit that when the women would gather it in bunches and chase after the guy they want to be in love with and hit him on his head, and all the pollen would spread all over the boy's head, and that supposedly would make him fall in love with her. And also another way was they would put it into the drink. That way the guy wouldn't know, and that he would drink of it and fall in love with her. Here we have the pohuehue. These are also from Waiaka'eu. The pohuehue, like Ulei said, is the great la'au. Oh, and also going back to the hala. If ahuava wasn't around or available, the hala was also used as a strainer for ava. Pohuehue plant was also used to invigorate the ocean, to make big surf. Also used to chase fishes into the nets, or you bundle up a bunch of them and hook it up to the sticks and to the net. You have a net. And so thus, this is our nursery here at Kīholo. And through the living waters of Waiaka'eu, it continues on to the waters of Kaloko'o Kīholo, which our relationship is established with the Nature Conservancy. And here we go to our guys and a little view of Kaloko'o Kīholo this morning. So in relationship, we establish families. We establish all together ohana. And this is from us to all of you. E Ola no.
Mahalo. Very, very well done. Mahalo nui, Yakaku, Analu, Leighton. What an awesome, awesome live at Kīholo, Waiaka'eu. Just want to reiterate and echo our deep aloha for the partners that we have, whether it be state parks, the Nature Conservancy, many others. Alakahakai, you know, I should not start just because I don't want to miss anyone and stumble, but we just have so many great partners. Mauka Pu'ua'awa'a, Conservation International, the homeowners there at Kīholo. From one end to the other, we just are honored by the relations. Cousin Lehua is very right when she says, right, relationship. Within our partnerships comes relationships, and it kind of goes beyond and extends beyond our organizations or the affiliations that we have. It then becomes the people to people relation and the people to ʻāina relation. And so that we kind of close our Aloha Friday Live with an extension of our aloha, aloha ʻāina, this real deep-seated love and respect and stewardship of land, of ʻāina. And then that kind of love and respect and caring of self and each other, kanaka. We just bid you all a wonderful, fabulous, amazing Aloha Friday. Have a safe, continue to be safe. Have a great weekend. We thank you for your presence and tuning in to our webinars, our Aloha Friday Lives. We are indeed grateful. Nahaku, everyone all the way around, just much, much, much thanks. With our humility, with our aloha, we say ahui ho yakako until the next time. Aloha, aloha, aloha. Woohoo! Yay!